Hi everybody, it's Kelly from Let's Get Clacking, and in today's video we're going to go over something quite fun, and it's going to be waterslide decals. Waterslide decals are something that is quite fun to play with, and essentially what it is a clear film that you can use water to transfer onto a surface. Now, the applications are quite extensive. As an example, you can use waterslide to transfer onto your cupboards. You can use waterslide for your nails, your nail decals. I've used that before with this. You can use it for mugs, not always recommended. Maybe if you're going to be not putting the mug in the dishwasher or washing the mug very seldom by hand, but they are very fun and very versatile. So what you will need is a pack of waterslide decals. Now, I bought this from JG Electronics, it says there at the top. I honestly can't remember exactly how much it was, but I'll put a price on the screen. So it does say that to use this you will need a Mugget varnish spray. However, I've known many people to use other sprays, not necessarily the Mugget spray. So I'm also going to be testing out these sprays as well. This is the Rust-Oleum Triple Thick Glaze, and this one is the Semi-Gloss Clear Ultra Cover. And I got these from Builder's Warehouse. I think they were about 140 Rand a bottle. Again, I'll put the price on the screen for each of these ones, just so that you can see exactly how much they cost. If you find this video useful, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment to let me know what application you're going to use for waterslide decals. Well, let's get clacking. So I have my designs all set up in Silhouette Studio, and I just want to show you how I've set this up so that it will work with the waterslide. What I've done here is I've taken this design and I've done it offset, but instead of a 0.2, I've done a 0.5. Okay. Then what we do is we release the compound path of the offset, which essentially turns each and every completed line into a line in itself. So then I can take this section and delete it, and then I can delete this one as well. So when we're cutting this with the print and cut, it'll then only cut the outside, and then we can pull that off. Then we do the same with this one, do the 0.5 offset, and then we release the compound path, and we can delete those little bits because we don't need those tiny little bits cut out. I want it all to be one big section. Put that back, and then let's actually just change the weighting of this to 0, and I want to change the weighting of this to 0 as well. I don't want it to print. And then these ones should be 0 already. Great. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to print the waterslide decal section. So like we would normally do, I'm just using a normal Canon inkjet printer. So I'm going to place it in face down, and then it'll pull through and print on the other side. As with most of these things, there's a shiny side, which you can see. And then there's a side that has writing on it. Now, the side with the writing side on is going to be going face up in my printer. I'm not sure how it'll be in your printer because, like I said before, it pulls it through and then it'll come out on the top. Okay, so now that that's in the printer, I'm going to send it to print. I'm not going to mirror this because we're going to be placing it on the things just like this, so that's fine. I'm going to be printing it on glossy photo paper just to see what it's like. The print quality will be high. And let's print it and see. This printed beautifully, as we can see. What I'm going to do now is I'm not going to print and cut this yet. I'm going to first spray it with our Rust-Oleum Semi-Gloss Clear, give it maybe a few light coats, and then wait for it to completely dry before running it through the Cameo and cutting it. So let's get on to that. Now that's all cut, I'm going to take it off the sheet. Now, of course, these are kinds of things that you can also then sell because they look nice as opposed to being hand cut, which is obviously why we have things like our cameos to be able to sell these kinds of things. You obviously just need to make sure that you have a commercial license for the design, but that's another story. We're going to start with our alcohol swab, just rubbing down the mug a little bit, just to get all the dust off and things like that. I'm going to put my decal on this side, so I'm going to start with relax and unwind. Now there's a little bit of hair that dried in the the glaze, but that's fine. I mean, it's just for me. So like I mentioned, you might want to make sure that you have it covered while it's busy drying so that you can avoid that. So we're going to put the water slide in the water for about a minute or so, because that's what it's the instruction says. I'm going to test both methods, when you leave it in the water for a while, and then also the next one that I'm going to do on the candle, we're going to just put it in and take it off and try a completely different method. So this method is, you know, you can see there it's curled up and it's now starting to uncurl a little bit, and then we're going to pick it up and place it on the mug. I'm also just going to add a little bit of water to the mug to try and help it slide around a bit once we get there. What you can also do is you can also use something like this to kind of, you know, prop the mug up a little bit, so that when you're working with it, it doesn't slide around. Okay, there we go, it's ready. So what you can do is you can then place it on the mug, kind of decide where you want it to go, gently hold it down with one finger and pull the backing out from underneath. Okay. Don't worry too much about placement, because luckily you are able to move it around a little bit. But I'm happy with that placement. So just like to double check. The edges do curl up on this one a little bit, which is a little bit concerning. And then what we do is we use a towel or a paper towel or tissues. I'm just going to use some toilet paper to blot off the excess water. And then you can kind of smooth it out a little bit. I just like to keep repressing the corners down because these edges seem to lift up a little bit. So I just want to make sure that they stay down because I don't want curled edges. And of course, when it comes to this, you want to be careful about putting too much pressure on. The glaze that I sprayed on here is normally quite a hard glaze, and it does crack when it's curled and bent and things like that. So if you're going to be putting a lot of pressure on it, and if maybe it's going to curl too much, if you accidentally crack it off the page, then it will crack and it will look a little bit funny on your cup. So you really want to make sure that you're just very gentle with it. You really don't need a lot of force, then it'll work out nicely. So obviously we use this method of cleaning the mug first so that we don't get tons of bubbles underneath. I have done some before and it didn't look so nice because there were a lot of bubbles underneath, but it was fine. I mean, it was a test, so it doesn't matter. But this looks really good. There aren't very many bubbles underneath. I think I maybe used a little bit too much pressure on that side. So let me see if you can actually see what it looks like on the camera, because then you'll maybe be able to tell if you're using too much pressure or not. But that's our cup, and we're going to move on to the candle next. And obviously we're going to show you a different method as opposed to this one if you find that this one doesn't work for you as well. Both of them work fine, to be honest. When you have it in for 30 seconds or if you have it in for, you know, a few seconds less than that, they both worked fine for me, but I'd like to show you the recommended method and then kind of my method, just, you know, why not? The only thing that I did differently here was to just dip it in the water, as you can see, and then slide it off the backing and then move it onto the candle. So gently pushing it from the inside out, just to get the bubbles out and a little bit of the excess water. There we go. And now I'm going to add my bubbles. I kind of want these a little bit close to the main one, to the main design. So I'm going to put them there. And this one, crack that one. I'm just going to get a towel so that I can blot these dry. It's just to take off the excess moisture, so that we can have them dry nicely. And if you do want these to dry a little bit faster or set a little bit faster, You can, as an example with the mugs, you can put them in the oven at a low temperature for a few minutes, but these ones, obviously you wouldn't be able to do that because it's on a candle. You can kind of have it set a little bit faster with a hairdryer, obviously not too high a temperature because, you know, wax plus heat equals puddle, but you can just do what I'm doing now as well, just brushing out some of the moisture, flattening it out a little bit. Well, thanks very much for watching this video, everybody. I really hope that you found it useful and that you're going to use Waterslide decals on pretty much everything now. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. You can subscribe to my channel on this side. On that side, YouTube will show you my latest video, and just below that, something that they think that you'll enjoy. Well, it was great having you here today, everybody, and remember, be kind to someone. See you next time.